Good evening. You're watching Truth Be Told on the Boom Live social media handles. I'm FayeD'Souza. Thank you for joining us. Every day we take a look at one aspect of the COVID-19 battle that we're fighting and find ways to navigate it. Today we're going to talk about fake news. And joining me right now is Archis from Boom Live. Archis, thank you for joining us. I understand that you've actually taken a look at all of the fact checks that have been done since COVID hit us and discovered that along with the number of cases, we've also had an increase in fake news. Tell us what your finding has been.
Well, overall, there's this theory that, what happens in the fake news cycle is actually very reflective of a real world, what happens in the real world. And this study goes on to show how reactive, this fake news circuit actually is. So first of all, if you look at the graph that shows our daily published stories. So in this graph, you'll see like the first initial spikes after 13th of March, and then on 23rd and 24th of March. And these spikes actually followed major news events. Like you had a big family in Pune and Mumbai who came back from Dubai on 10th of March, on 8th of March, I think, and they got detected. They were detected with COVID-19. And just after that, we had this whole range of like fake news around people having COVID-19 in Mumbai. So that was the first reaction. And after March, the number of cases just started going up. And if we notice 11th March, 11th to 14th March, that's when the exponential rise happens. And if you look at the graph that shows the cumulative daily cases in India, it just goes up from there onwards. And if you look at our cumulative stories, obviously it doesn't follow that exponential path because we're just 15 people working on it, and we are nowhere near as efficient as this virus. So, but that shows the relationship. That number of fake news obviously has increased, and and along with that, our fact checks, have also increased on that. And that's an expectation we had before, and it's good to see that our work has matched this expectation.
Well, tell me something. When you say that the number of fake news has increased, I remember initially it was about China. It was, there were various pieces of fake news about, and the ones that I found really worrying were the cures that were doing the rounds, and I still see them happening today. Do you have categories of, what kind of fake news did the round? Was it largely about cures, or was it worse than that?
Oh no, actually, so we had overall we had 178 stories, and we categorized them according to topics. Most of them were actually miscellaneous, like 30% were miscellaneous, uncategorized, and we kept that on the site. And as we have more and more fact checks, we'll see where that goes. But we looked at all the other topics, and as you said, initially there were, there were stuff about China, and China was like the major topic of focus, like in the beginning, because we weren't affected in January, but things were happening, news coming out of China, and we had a lot of videos saying this is how Chinese people are tackling it, this is how police are killing Chinese people. So we had the cures as well that started coming in instantly, and we had some stories on that as well. And eventually, in the month of February, you had the usual prediction theories. This guy predicted it, this lady predicted it in a novel. And some bioweapon theories also came up. But after March, and March was the lockdown period, so you had a lot of lockdown news. But after March, everything changed, and the fallout of the Tablighi Jamaat event that happened in March, and as people started being detected with COVID-19, people who attended the event, we started seeing this whole new type of fake news that were making allegations along the communal lines. And very fast, actually, in the month of April, we did so many stories on this topic that the communal topic slowly became the bulk of all the identified topics we could find, and almost 20% of our stories were actually communal stories, and most of them actually carried videos, and a lot of them showed people spitting on food, etc., and saying that they're trying to spread COVID-19, whereas they were all dated and unrelated, and some of them were not even from India. So yeah, that was like quite a surprising thing. I mean, we felt it. We knew this was going to happen because as we went through the process, we noticed how much more fake news we are getting of this kind now. So that was very troublesome.
Right. So obviously, this is obviously really concerning that you said 20% of the fake news stories that you tackled post the Tablighi Jamaat story breaking were actually of a communal nature, where it was, we saw these videos, oh, so-and-so spat on the food, or so-and-so is insisting on keeping this masjid running and things like that. These were the stories that did the rounds. What are you noticing now? Have the number of fake news stories continued to increase? Is it largely video content?
Yes. I mean, okay, like let's say in the month of May, it has slowed down a little bit. The amount of communal stories are coming in intermittently, but, like we don't have that many stories daily, that, attack one certain community or the other. But, as you said, like fake cures are still going around, and, we are replugging our stories again and again because they're just not going away, and people are coming back to us on our helpline and asking us just to be sure, whether garlic can help, whether this can help or that. And, we're like, okay, there's nothing yet that we know absolutely certain that's going to help. So, that is still going. And obviously we can't expect this COVID-19 topic, this large topic to go away because it's all over the news. I mean, if you switch on any channel, very highly likely any news channel is going to talk about COVID-19 or something related to it, like a lockdown news or something like that, or government, taking certain steps or not, so there's that.
Yeah, I do want to ask you about this. And I know that one of the organizations, the news organizations, I think it was Print, did a count about the fact that since the lockdown started, or in the last 3 months, not since the lockdown started, there have been over 4,000 government orders, state and center, that have come out. So government instructions of what is allowed and what is not allowed, and whether the lockdown's extended or not. So there's a large sort of lacuna. There's a gap there that fake news can happily fill, saying that, oh, the government has passed an order saying this is no longer allowed, or that's no longer allowed. Are you seeing a lot of that happening?
Yes, of course. So, we also categorized our fact checks by, the type of fake news it was, whether it came with a video or a text. And, there was so much more text than we expected. And I realized as I started going through them, they were all fake notifications, mostly, either about the lockdown or about, movement restrictions or about things you can buy or not buy. All of these kind of fake advices are going around because there's no clear idea of what actually, is true or not. Because as you said, the government gave all these orders out so haphazardly and so fast that people had no idea. Like when the lockdown first started in March, the police had no idea what they're supposed to do, whether they're supposed to stop people from buying essentials or not, whether they should stop interstate travel or not. All these things happened later. And when the government realized people have no idea how to deal with this lockdown, all these notifications came out. But even then, there are just so many that people can't possibly go through all of that to know what's going on. So they would just, fall prey to any kind of message, trying to inform them because, it gives them that security. Oh, now I know what the deal is. So that is an issue that we have faced. And, this is not going to go away. The next time the government extends lockdown, which seems likely, we are going to see more of this, more notifications, and some of it is going to be fake. So there is that issue that we have seen.
All right. Archis, thank you for joining me here on Truth Be Told and going over the fact that obviously with the rise of COVID, there's also been a rise of fake news around COVID across the country. Remember, for your fact-checking needs, go to boomlive.in or visit the social media handles and write to Boom Live if you have come across something and you want to check whether or not this is in fact authentic. Thanks for watching.
Sure.